its highest honor, and a symbol of distinction reserved for those whose volunteer leadership has been steadfast and through which our fraternity has reached unparalleled heights. I promise to be brief in all of my personal comments tonight, and I will be, I promise. But I want to add, and I'm brief. One of the four means to be impacted in the P85 program is relational impact. It's about what relationships we form with one another. Those people can be advisors, mentors, friends, confidants, and Scott really embodies this. He's the king of impact through relationship. He has become a mentor, a friend, and a trusted advisor to so many of us throughout AEI. And when I ask our volunteer ranks today, throughout North America, who do they look up to? Who has mentored you? Scott's name is almost always on their list. He is certainly a fraternity man and a family man that I look up to and I aspire to be like. Scott's unwavering commitment to visionary leadership was captured in a moving tribute showcase and video presentation dedicated to his remarkable journey. At some point we will.
The Order of the Lion is the top award in the fraternity for outstanding service at AEI beyond over an extended period. Scott epitomizes that.
I can't think of anyone more observing than Scott, or Bubba as I call him. Scott started with the fraternity in, I think it was 1991, when I was pre-master.
Scott had leadership capabilities that we recognize. Scott worked as a chapter consultant. He worked as a regional governor, the chapter advisor at FAU for a while, and then on the Supreme Board of Governors. So you're talking about years and years of service and commitment to the fraternity.
He is the type of person who was friends with anyone and everyone. If he was going to take on a goal, he was going to do it the right way, whether it was words of advice, whether it was helping people out, when he was reaching into his pocket and putting his money where his mouth was. Scott grew up believing in giving back to the fraternity, and that never stopped.
He has given so much of his time and his heart. He's very passionate about the Jewish aspect of the fraternity, that the young Jews that are growing up in this world know that they have a home, they have a place, and we have to protect it.
He wanted to join an organization that was, strongly united and had Jewish values, a place that could take leadership values and skills, and he just took it running from there, and he just wants to keep giving back to that.
In addition, I think it's the friends, the connections he's made, and the people that, now we even consider family in this fraternity, and that have such a strong part in my dad's life as well as all of our lives.
Spent a lot of time with on the road, sharing rooms, just going to see chapters and hanging out with guys in the fraternity. Along with these honors, I think what comes that we all reflect upon is all of the times that we have together.
He has contributed to the success of Alabama's on high over the years in numerous ways, big and small. And important to me is he is not only my fraternity brother, he is my friend.
My congratulations goes along with Scott, not his whole family, because they're all part of it. And that means something, the door to door, generation to generation.
I'm very proud of him for sticking with it. I think the ability to stick with the fraternity over the years, to learn from it, to teach others, just really capsulized what a fraternity man.
The connection to the fraternity can go on as long as you choose for it to go on. And he's chosen to make it a very big part of his life. and I'm proud for making that choice.
Throughout life, he stayed committed to this fraternity, and it has taught us such amazing things too, with him being a part of this.
Can you find something that you're passionate for to just follow it?
So, I'm looking forward to something in my life that I'm, gonna stay committed to just as much as he has for this, and really proud of him for that.
As the Order of the Lion is the fraternity's highest honor, I want to introduce our current Supreme Master, Scott Knapp, to proceed with the presentation of the Order of the Lion.
Scott Allen Cohen served as our 73rd Supreme Master of AE Pi, serving at the helm of the fraternity from 2016 to 2018. But it is far from having served as Supreme Master for which we are here tonight to honor you. Indeed, as you've already heard, the Order of the Lion is the highest honor that the fraternity awards. Let me take a second real quick if those brothers who have received the Order of the Lion and previously could stand to be recognized, so we can see the gentlemen who have received this honor in the past and see what honor you are about to have on you. While AE Pi has initiated over 105,000 men into our ranks, fewer than 75 have received this award. For those who know Scott, I'm confident you recognize why we are here tonight. Reviewing his story, however, will remind us of why exactly he is deserving of this award. Scott was born in the city known as the Motor City of Detroit, raised in the suburbs of Oak Park and Southfield. He grew up bleeding green and white. It led him to Michigan State University. While he was a Spartan, and I'll quote him from his Supreme Master speech, I showed up at Michigan State University in 1986 and wasn't really sure that I wanted to go Greek. I had played football and baseball in high school. I was looking forward to those activities for my place in college. Yes, he played high school sports. He says, I came back to school after winter break. Someone carved a swastika into my dorm room door. I was the only Jewish kid on my floor, the only one I knew in my dorm, and I knew right then I had to find others like me. I had to find a comfortable place on this campus. I knew somebody from high school who joined AE Pi the semester before. I went there, seeking friends, seeking comfort, seeking a home. The minute I stepped foot at the fraternity house, I knew I was there, I knew I was at home, I knew where I was meant to be. Scott thrived at Michigan State University, living in the fraternity house for the next few years, and serving even as the kitchen manager. In his junior year, however, his father took ill. To better support his family, Scott had to move away from what he had just developed as his second home, back to be with his family. He went back to Detroit to nearby Wayne State. However, just before transferring, Scott tells a story of a big schlubby guy that came to the Michigan State house, which for the first time he met Andy Borens. Scott told Andy he was transferring to Wayne State, and Andy lit up. He said, you know Sid Dunn? Sid Dunn went to Wayne State. You all should get to know each other even more, and suggested that somehow Scott, Andy, and Sid would revive the city of Detroit and bring AE Pi back to create the biggest Metro Detroit chapter that ever could exist. Scott didn't know what he was getting into. He recognized he'd be living at home with his family and have to commute each and every day from home to school, back to home, but said A Pi means this much to me already, I'm going to give it a chance. Scott retells this story over and over again to men throughout Detroit and says, you have to join me on this journey. You have to experience what I've experienced. This will make you a better man. This will make the Jewish people better. This will give us a life together. And through Scott's efforts, tenacity, and dedication in learning to be a salesman, through just 2 semesters, Scott initiated 50 men into the Metro Detroit community of Wayne State and developed a chapter there. His accomplishments were immediately recognized by the fraternity in 1991, where he was awarded the Norman Levin Outstanding Master Award. Upon graduation from Wayne State with a Bachelor's of Fine Arts and Communication in Radio and TV, something very suitable, Scott said, what do I do with my career path? And following what every Jewish mother wants, he applied to law school. Smartly, he deferred law school forever. And Scott was recruited by Andy and Sid to join API as a traveling consultant and work for our headquarters. Scott claims that working for the fraternity, despite living on couch after couch, was the best job he ever had. And there, he served 2 years as what we now know as an educational leadership consultant, and then 5 years thereafter as our first director of programs and risk management. After that, he ran a short stint of running a sports memorabilia company, and then a startup company with a .com came his way, based in Boca Raton, where he said, I can move down there and be with my friends Adam Runsdorf and Brett Jaffe and develop a life. Moving to Boca, unfortunately, right about that time, the .com bubble came to a big crash, ending that dream. However, the business that he had joined, partnered with, and was next door to in a complex, a small generic pharmaceutical company, Breckenridge Pharmaceutical, where he was hired by Larry Runsdorf of blessed memory, father to Adam, who immediately recognized Scott's talents, swooped in, hired him, and Scott rose through the ranks of Breckenridge as a product manager, director of sales, and then the vice president of sales. He was there for approximately 20 years. However, never once did he turn his back on API. In fact, he continued his volunteership, rising from the levels of chapter advisor to regional governor. All of the chapters in Florida began to depend upon you, and then you joined the Supreme Board of Governors. So many of us watched Scott's rise, learned from him as he truly mentored us to become better brothers and better leaders. The principle of Lador Vador never skipped a step with Scott, and he attributes that to his mentors in the fraternity, Steve Bernstein, Don Rudick, Andy Goran, Sid Dunn, and Richard Stein. Scott governed the fraternity with such a cool, calm, and collected way that we shouldn't be surprised. His primary thoughts were always focused on the feelings of others, especially our undergraduate brothers. Scott is a true mensch. Sometimes I wonder if my bubble lives inside of him. With one exception, and one that was well-deserved, but also came with a very drunken email about a fish. I have never heard Scott say anything delicious about another person. Scott has been married to his beautiful wife, Anat, for 23 years. They have 2 amazing, talented, and beautiful children. Mark, a graduating senior and brother in our Phi Gamma chapter at University of Florida, and Shayna, also at University of Florida, a junior with the Alpha Tau chapter of AE5. Both of them are here tonight with their significant others, Kara, who's also a member of AE5, and Jacob, who is at UF and is a member of a fraternity that starts with Z and ends with T. Scott asked me to say that, and I don't even have to say why am I saying that. knowing Scott, I knew exactly why. Scott always said having other Jews on our campus and other fraternities made us fight even harder, but made us better. More importantly, he reminded us that in a world that we live in, having other Jews around us inspires all of us and creates a collective sense of community that allows us to fight with each other against the evils of anti-Semitism and hatred. In today's world, that message reigns even stronger, and we are proud that you could be here. We are happy to invite any brother of any fraternity that identifies as Jewish and any sorority who identifies as Jewish to stand along with us and celebrate why we are here. In 2018, through a donation made to the API Foundation, Scott and Anat established the Cohen Family Leadership Award, which is awarded annually at our international convention to a person who recognizes and serves notable enhancements of fulfilling API's mission, whether a brother or not, based upon his or her own individual leadership efforts. About 7 years ago, Scott had weight loss surgery. I'm sure you've seen it, you've experienced it, you've seen it in the videos. He lost over 200 pounds. He thought medications were in his past and began celebrating life. Unfortunately, on July 4th of 2020, a holiday that we're all celebrating, Scott started feeling dizzy and realized something doesn't feel right. He sought out medical treatment, thankfully, and they realized very quickly, based upon his slurred speech, maybe he was having a stroke. But ultimately, what they recognized was that it turned out to be a brain cancer, which had metastasized from clear cell renal carcinoma located in his kidney throughout his body. He turned to the fraternity to say, API, I've been here for you. Please help me out. Brother Ira Braunschweig, a board member of our foundation, sent Scott a recommendation for an oncologist that specializes in cancer of the kidneys. We are forever grateful for our fraternity and what that did. While being told immediately the type of cancer he suffered from was incurable, Scott also was placed onto an immediate list of an experimental drug that could prolong his life and reduce the tumor size. No one knew at that time what could happen. Shortly thereafter, insurance forced Scott to change doctors. The medication he was taking was also not FDA approved at that time. However, through our connections, we continued to give him the care that he needed. Thankfully, it's been effective for Scott, resulting in the size of a tumor that started as a golf ball when it was first diagnosed, all the way down to the size of a tiny pebble today. Equally important, the remaining tumor has crystallized and is no longer seeking blood supply, which means that it's unlikely to regrow in size or become problematic. While not a cure, Scott continues to take very taxing drug regimens. However, despite that, each and every day he wakes up saying, how can I give back to API? How can I give back to the Jewish people? What can I do for the next generation, whether it be my children or somebody else's children? He does that because he recognizes how much API gave to him and what it meant to his life. Scott says his biggest enjoyment in life is giving back to our fraternity. Throughout all of his cancer treatment, throughout all of his health problems, he continues to do so, continues to serve as a mentor to each and every one of us. He does not stop worrying about our undergraduates, about what is happening on our campuses, and says he will be here each and every moment to fight by all of their sides. Scott's quote is, I know that I'll never be able to give back to API what it has given to me. We're going to give you even more here tonight. You're receiving our highest honor. However, we thank you for what you are giving to us more than we ever could give back to you. Scott, it's my pleasure to award you tonight the Order of the Line.
The good news is that our brother Supreme Master Knapp used about half of my speech, so I won't be as long. Before I give some remarks, I just want to shout out to Lindsay. Lindsay Morgan, are you here? Where are you? Lindsay is API's Director of Special Events. Her tireless work on this event is so much appreciated. Thanks, Lindsay. Really appreciate it. I also want to thank the South Florida alumni volunteers who used all communication methods with promoting tonight's event, led by our Regional Governor, Matt Gordon. And if I miss somebody, I apologize, but brothers Dansky, Kramer, Weiss, and Bresselier as well. Thank you all so much. To tonight's other award recipient, Mike Levin. Your Leadership Institute has reached more undergraduates, created more mentors and more volunteers, and been an important recruiting tool for our staff. Thank you for funding and being an active participant in this crucial program. You're most certainly meeting the mission of our fraternity by creating Jewish leaders of the future. I like to be the guy behind the scenes, not the guy in front of the mic. I usually do these speeches off the cuff, without notes. The old brain doesn't work the same anymore because of my medication and some lingering effects from radiation. But I apologize for having to read it, and I also apologize for my voice, which will go out any minute. I was never going to join another fraternity. Never ever was going to join any fraternity. As you heard, I had a swastika carved in my door at Michigan State. That was my first time I ever experienced any anti-Semitism. I grew up in a very mixed area, Southfield, Michigan, and every religion imaginable, every skin color imaginable, we all got along. At that time at Michigan State, Chabad was too religious, but the booze was free. Agreed. Rabbi Jay was the best. Hillel was a very kumbaya type organization, but they offered home-cooked meals. It just wasn't enough for me. Alpha Epsilon Pi became my home away from home. My childhood friend, Danny Coughlin, introduced me to a guy named Paul Big, the chapter president at Michigan State. Paul was and still is, as I see him tonight, a slick guy. He's the stereotypical sales guy. He could sell bottled water to a drowning victim. Paul Bick, Rob Sampson, Scott Powder, and Glenn Schwartz, thank you guys so much for being integral to my finding a Jewish home away from home. Anti-Semitism on campus, as you may have heard, is worse than ever. especially when you take into account the social media instantaneous effect. Our fraternity and our chapters are on the front lines fighting this scourge. When I'm asked why I still play fraternity, I usually say something like, because anti-Semitism is alive and well. And we need the help. AA Pi needs our help. That's why I give, and that's why I play fraternity. A few words about some of the most influential people in my AA Pi experience. Past Supreme Master Steve Bernstein and former Supreme Board member Don Rudick, the Deans of Detroit. You taught me to pay it forward and to give back. Executive Vice President Emeritus Sidney Dunn and his wife Linda. Sid, Linda, as I lived in Indy, you were my family away from home. Always welcoming, always loving, and I'm so glad that we've maintained our friendship for over 30 years. Thank you both. Andy Boreans, some people say I may cry a little bit. Let's blame the meds. Andy Boreans, Adam Runsdorf, and past Supreme Master Larry Leader. So many Vegas trips. So many Vegas trips. Andy, my AA Pi experience was finished, or so I thought. I transferred to Wayne State, as you heard, because my father took ill. You encouraged me to build the chapter as I saw fit. The Wayne State chapter was 5 guys wearing letters, playing poker, and smoking crappy cigars. So, because of you guys, I'm still here. Thank you guys. Adam Runsdorf, you brought me to Florida to work, have some fun, and said to me, you never leave a brother when they're down. You're the first person to visit me in the hospital other than my wife. I can't wait to hang out more with you, along with our incredible wives, as we prepare for what I'll call our better years. Past Supreme Masters Phil Cohen, Richard Stein, and Ed Scherer. Phil, you encouraged me to take the position in Florida, or I may have regrets. The greatest thing you taught me was say what you need to in that boardroom. Never carry a grudge outside those 4 walls. I've tried to follow that example. Thank you, Phil. Richard Stein. He likes to call me Bubba. I like to call him Sully. We first met in Chicago at the convention where you were installed as Supreme Master. That was also the first convention where I served on the AA Pi staff. You've been a mentor, a friend. You wear your heart on your sleeves. You've always placed the fraternity first. And that's what I learned from you. Thank you, Richard. Past Supreme Ed Scherer, Past Supreme Master Ed Scherer. I always look forward to our dinners together here in South Florida. Lately, they've been far and few between due to our mutual medical issues. Here's to us getting healthier and being able to meet more often. You've taught me how to listen and how important it is to mentor our younger alumni and create new volunteers. Thank you, Ed. Lastly, I promise, my golden doodle puppy of 2 years, Yofi. I can't believe it either. I was never a dog guy. My treatments make me wanting to lay in bed and not do anything. The pain is intense. You're always there. But getting a puppy means you gotta take her to do her business. You gotta feed her. And with the golden doodle, she doesn't stay still for long. Thank God for her. I love you, Yof Yof. Shayna. Here it comes. My daughter, my Shayna Punham. You had me wrapped around your finger when Mommy said, I'm having a girl. You've become such a beautiful woman, incredible drive and passion, so active on campus at the University of Florida. Between AE5, the Honors College, Hillel Chabad, so much more. You're here with your boyfriend Jacob, whom we love, other than the fact that he's in the wrong fraternity. Okay, Jacob, people make mistakes. We know we'll get out of it. I love answering your calls, Shayna, 24/7, even when you butt dial us, which is a little more often than we'd like. Mark, my first blood, my spring training buddy, my brother. I was honored to be there at your initiation at Phi Gamma, while every single one of your pledge class had COVID. And you didn't say a word. And your mother made me quarantine for 10 days. You're also at the University of Florida, and I can't believe it, graduating with honors in less than a month. Heading to Tampa and the University of South Florida for your doctorate of physical therapy, along with Kara, also an AE5, your girlfriend of almost 4 years, whom we love dearly. Your drive for success and your love for Kara, and vice versa, will enable you to achieve great things, and we can't wait to see them. This is tough. Now, these words will pale in comparison. These are not sufficient by any means. I'm extremely lucky to have found you on that expiring Jewish website. You're my confidant, my strength, and my best friend. You put up with my bullshit, sorry, and you give it right back to me. Nobody's done that before. I didn't know what to do. I would not be here if it wasn't for your strength and your care. You're the epitome of a role model for our children, or should I say young adults. I love you to the moon, sweetie. You are the very best of the very best. Thank you for this honor. Thank you to all that traveled from near and from far. I'm truly humbled. Always support our mission. Thank you.